Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to FYI. I am Joretta Fernandez joining you with Shara Duncan this morning. It is Monday, the 9th of May, 2022.
Yes, it is, Shrita.
We are so close to a mid-year already, So, guys, how have you been? How's your morning going? Let me know in the comment section. Do what you have to do as early as you possibly can. Share the live stream. Make sure that you have done your part on your end. Yesterday was Mother's Day. I want to know how a lot of you women and men actually spend the day, because the ladies were supposed to be treated by the gentlemen.
We want to know. We fast.
So we want to know
how things went down at your end.
And basically, what's the feeling altogether? Mother's Day, one day come and go. My daughter told me this morning, you had to wait 365 days for one day.
She's ready. She's fired up. She's fired up, ready to go.
She's very passionate about this this timing, the fact that you wait so long for this 24-hour period.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
she was fired up, ready to go. Hit the ground running.
Very much so. So guys, how have you been as we release a comment section this morning? I see Dave Durrell here also. Beatrice Selby. Hey, Beatrice, thank you so much, guys. Beatrice sent me a message during the weekend telling me that she sent out Mother's Day greetings for me on the radio.
That's
yes,
cool.
Yes.
Cool.
Thank you so much, Beatrice.
Right. Can't wait for Father's Day, Beatrice. Can't wait.
Shared is putting in his order one time. I see Mr. John Jones is here.
John Jones.
Siobhan McDonald. Good morning to you, Sherrod.
Good to see you.
Did I just say Sherrod?
Yeah.
Instead of Siobhan.
Same thing. Good morning to you
Donna
too.
Fresco this morning. Good morning. Claire Richmond here. I see you joining us this morning on Facebook. Linden Thomas, Vanessa Thomas, the Thomas crew in the house.
The whole family here.
Tessa Isaac, Graves Andy. Good morning to you guys. Let us know where you're joining from.
Let us know if you're hearing us clearly too. We want to make sure that.
Yes, I think they would have been complaining by now.
Tessa.
Good morning. Is it Avril Goodman? Good morning to you. How you been? How are you doing this morning? Dave is saying, let's deal with it and get the evil empire called PPP out of office ASAP. We're on it, Dave. We get up in the morning with it on our mind. That's what we work towards every single day. Magnell Barrow, blessings to the FYI family, says Magnell this morning. Good morning to you, Magnell. How are you this morning? Wills Felix, good morning to you. Wills, I see Keith Dowling joining us on Sheena Hazel. Sheena says, good morning, MP. Sherrod and Fernandez listening. Sherrod, you have to do something to that belly boy.
Hi, Sheen.
What, Sheen?
That's going to start me off nicely this Monday morning. I hear you.
You make sure I go and run in the park. Sharon, somebody see something I'm not seeing.
I don't know. It's Magnell. I don't know why Magnell gonna wake up and want to do violence like that.
It's not Magnell.
Whoever it is. Shane?
I think
Nigel Price?
I see.
Just like that. Well, good morning to you too.
Whiskey session this morning. Whiskey, how are you this morning? Whiskey session. I just don't get his name. I want to know where did that name come from? But Whiskey session from Tiger Bay. But who actually gives that name, Whiskey session?
Maureen, good morning. Thanks for the things. Thanks, Maureen.
Elaine Charles, good morning to you. Elaine, I see Savitri. Zal is here with us this morning. Good morning to you, Savitri. How are you doing? How's your family?
Missionary Joy De Freitas.
Yeah, but missionary Joy De Freitas, given that we know now that this is a missionary indeed that has been doing work here, that changed the dynamics of that name.
Conduct ourselves differently.
I'm always decent and godly.
You are?
Yes.
Thanks. I can send him the book. I'm gonna send the guys the book.
I see Morris is here also. Good morning, guys. Blessed Monday to you all. Guys, it's Monday, so we like to start of the week on a bright note. We have so much negative news to give, but I think I believe it is necessary for us not to come in the morning and just flood people with all that negativity and actually give a person something to calm yourselves with. I see Marilyn Lorimer joining us this morning from Barbados. How are you folks over there?
But Wolford is here as well. Shout out to all the folks who are joining us on YouTube, our
Yes.
tubers. We're growing there.
We are.
Yep,
YouTube
yep.
YouTube family is
We,
getting
yeah, we happy about that
larger.
because and we hope that more folks discover our YouTube channel because sometimes Facebook don't always work the way you want it to, and you have to resort to YouTube. So you must know where to find us if we're not
Yes.
on Facebook. One morning, God forbid, we're not here. You gotta check for us on our YouTube channel. Yep. There's that, and the Twitter folks, Twitter, and the folks who join us via LinkedIn, all of those guys.
Yeah, and we're working on
grateful.
all platforms to get it on all platforms. So
Yeah.
whichever is convenient to you, because a lot of folks don't even be on Facebook.
Yeah.
Changing dynamics.
Everybody
We
fast.
got to keep up with the times.
Yeah,
There's so
yeah.
many changes when it comes to the information platform where you
Correct.
get information from. I see Sandra Brotherson is here with us this
Yeah.
morning, and George. And I'm not sure
Yeah.
if it's George. And I'm really angry having watched the malicious destruction of people's houses in Linden, especially
There's
the
that
ones
too.
who
There's that too.
conducted the operation. Yeah. So that is an issue that we'll be speaking about throughout the program this morning also. So Mr. George, just stay tuned for that. Make sure that you share the stream so that other persons can benefit from the discussion that we're going to have when it
Credible
comes
and valid.
to that issue there in Linden, and the fact that I'm seeing headline in the newspaper this morning, Kroll denies 20 squatters structured bulldozer at Amelia's Ward. How could we deny something
That's the biggest issue this morning we can be talking about.
that is like
housing
that.
and the squatting.
That's
and all
our big
that.
issue this morning, guys. So make sure that you
FYI,
share the stream.
FYI,
Make sure
just
that
letting
you
you know
share
where
the
we're going.
stream and so that
Share.
other persons can get it,
Smash.
can get the information. Yes, just that.
Just like that.
Just like that. But I think let's go back to the comments and I want to actually check on some of the folks this morning. Carl Fordyce, you've been with us every single morning. We appreciate you. We appreciate all that you do. We appreciate all the shares that you make.
Sandra said she saw us in Linden.
Oh, Sandra did.
Sandra, you should have said hello.
Oh,
good to see you, Sandra. Good to see you there.
Probably she saw that we went up, but I don't know if she saw us there. But
sorry,
Paulette Hawk Kippins is here with us also. Amabel Clement.
Amabel, how are you doing? You're welcome. Amabel says thanks for the information.
Amabel is from where? I think.
Amabel is the boat. This is the devotee. Amabel, how was your weekend? Good to see all of you guys. Gavin Liverpool and Hazel Johnson. Yep. Donna, is it Messiah? Donna Messiah.
Yes.
Yes.
Donna Messiah.
Good people.
This is with the Messiah family. I know, like the past Messiah family and all of those folks.
Marilyn Lorimer is here and Mayborn King. Trust you guys had a great weekend. Happy you guys are here. So happy you guys are here.
I see it's Stanislas watching from Sutherland, England.
Yeah. How is it there? How is it there in Sutherland?
What's the time there?
Yeah. Now it's about 1 o'clock.
I'm not sure, but
Marilyn Thomas and there's Simon Liverpool. Good to see all you guys. Louisa Wills, Fitzherbert Jarek. How are you doing, Fitzherbert? Retired last year. Having fun now. Fitzherbert, good to see you here.
Sure, all up in this business. Sure,
welcome.
These things more than
over time you pick up.
Marilyn Thomas is director. How was your Mother's Day?
Her Mother's Day was good.
It was
good.
So I got like my children are still small. I don't have adult children. So my little daughter made this card for me. Like she's always making cards, right? She made this card, this Mother's Day card for me. She said, she's 7 years old. She said, "Thank you for all the care that you've given me for 7 years."
7 long years.
And then,
but I find those are like the best gifts.
Yes, those that they actually take the time and put together. So herself and her sister, they actually made these bouquet of flowers for me. They did it themselves. They went out and got everything and made it themselves. The arrangement and everything. Yes.
Yeah. A couple of years back, my wife for Father's Day did a movie night at home, and she made tickets. Yeah. As soon as I came through the door from work.
You got a ticket?
I got a ticket for the. I still have that ticket in my wallet. Believe it or not, I felt so special, and we had hot dogs and like a typical movie, some popcorn.
Giving people ideas,
I felt it was very nice. I felt it was very nice. I still have the ticket. I look at it every so often.
Well, that's the way things are.
I married this girl. I make a mistake.
You see, lucky you.
I make a mistake.
I'm not during the course of the day, I got my feet rubbed. Believe it or not. Like I got my feet rubbed. And my like John, he did this. He made sure that he covered lunch.
I don't think I'm too good at feet rubbing and back rubbing, so and so much so.
You good at
I
lunch?
can't remember
You're
when.
not good at lunch either.
I think I know I don't like cooking. So I think
So I had it covered.
I think it was Christmas. My wife bought me this massage thingy, put it on your neck and it vibrates. But I think she was buying it for herself. I should have done anything because I'm no good at rubbing her back or anything like that.
Oh,
I think she was buying it for herself, really and truly.
You know, the interesting thing is that I wonder, like, you can tell me, like, this is a different discussion. I don't know how we get to these places in the morning. But since you're no good at it, will you have an issue with her going out to
No, I have. There's equipment that's the neck. There's like a whole chair you can get, and your whole body can be.
But there are persons that are qualified to do that. Like you can just go and book
the equipment qualified too. Well qualified. Well, we went once together. And we had fun.
Oh goodness.
We had fun. But in that case, it was a girl doing the rubbing.
Okay.
But I don't think I'd be comfortable with.
Why not?
I don't know.
Why not?
I'm not there yet.
Why not?
I'm not there yet.
You know, that's a whole conversation by itself. But I think I have no issue with
somebody recognize me and rub my wife differently.
I have no issue with having Mr. John though going out and have a professional massage. Like I have no issue with that. I don't know if
I don't think you've ever seen some of these girls who work in these places.
That doesn't matter. Come on, I see myself. God damn it. Come on.
Good comeback. Carol Rollins, Hubert Buser, Shirley Crichton, Myrtle James.
I see myself.
It's good. It's all good.
You could go to whichever. You coming back home.
Yeah. No, but I love the fact that you have the first time I put on this thing on my neck, I felt like, I didn't know they create them. So I mean, this thing was really good. And the fact that you can take it with you anywhere you go and plug it in. I am almost daily rubbing my neck now because I mean, it is what it is,
I think we're gonna do this. So
yeah.
Candace Chan is here with us. Says, who is John Doe? Candace.
I will send you the book, Candace. Don't let me start the discussion now. What was the menu, by the way, yesterday? What came as part of the menu?
Oh well, there was this a special type of rice. God knows what the name is. Fancy rice. A whole baked chicken. There were.
You special. When you get a whole baked chicken in these hard economic times, I think that's a proposal right there.
There was
did you say yes?
There was actually a chocolate cake. I'm trying to remember all the things. A chocolate cake, steamed greens, baked macaroni, and it was baked potatoes, but it was done in such a unique way. It was actually really, really good. So I am pretty sure I'm missing something. But
that's a proposal. Any wine in there? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so there was wine. There was red wine. There was red wine.
Pretty sure that's a proposal right
there. No, that was red wine. That was Mother's Day. That was Mother's Day. No proposal and handing people out. I think those things like.
If I mag you a whole chicken, the whole chicken.
I got it, Beatrice. Beatrice, I saw it.
Whole chicken.
I greetings for Mother's
whole
Day
chicken.
through Candy.
Right.
Yes, I got
Paul
it.
DeAndre, whole chicken.
I want to know that before we move forward, first of all, good morning to you, Kamal Fasad, joining us.
Kamal is there?
Bartica. Kamal sent a comment. The comment just rushed by so quickly, but I read every word of it.
What is that?
Well, Kamal is saying she's making a point that although the Maritime Administration has said that there should be no increase in the boat fare at Bartica, which persons would know that the boat fare is $2,500. And it was increased during the COVID period because they had to reduce the seating amount in the boat. It was increased to $3,000. So now that regulation has been relaxed because now the boat has been filled back to full capacity. There was an announcement made by Maritime Administration that the fare should not be increase, and so it should be at this 2.5 now that the boat is back to full capacity. However, she's making a point that the boats are still loaded at charging the fare of $3,000 per passenger, although now they're back to full capacity. And this is something that I did speak about this a little bit before, Kamal, and And I want to note that one of there was a big back and forth when it comes to the fact that the IMC at the Bartica Speedboat Owners Association and that whole debacklement altogether. And what I can say at this point in time is that the elected body, in my humble assessment, needs to take control of that matter
And
and
the
actually
Maritime
do,
Association needs to
right?
stamp its authority.
Well, the
And I'd
maritime
wait.
official, I think it was the maritime officials that was actually at the meeting. I think two maritime officials were at the meeting that there was the attempt to put in the IMC, and those persons were asked to leave by Miss Debbie Prasad based on what was reported.
So they are bigger than the whole maritime.
Those persons were actually saying that they
Maritime
were
Authority.
not invited to the meeting. That's what I was made to understand, right? So
Interesting things
that's the
happening.
allegation.
Interesting
It was
things.
alleged.
Interesting things happening. And definitely the Maritime Authority needs to step in there, and that's what they're there for, the regulation.
Yeah.
Right? To regulate, and then the speedboat
So there are
association takes it from there.
several bodies actually regulate, especially when they have these bodies that fall under the Friendly Society Act and all of those things. But what definitely work needs to be done. There can be loading the boat to full capacity and suddenly and keeping the fare at $3,000 when you know the $3,000 was only supposed to be at a place for that COVID period when the boat was not being loaded at full capacity.
I don't think we need to. I don't think we need to exhaust this, but just do what is necessary.
Yes.
Let's do what is right.
Definitely.
Do what is right, and that's the trouble. Once you raise the price, people find it hard to go back. The same thing happened with school fees.
Yeah.
When there was the increase on the what do you call it? They put a tax. I think it was on private schools, and then they raised the fees. And then when the tax was taken off, they never took the fees back.
Yeah,
down.
True.
Never took it back. Down. That's the challenge you have.
But with all that's going on, the price of the gas and all of that, there's no justification for the boat fare to be at that $3,000 at this point in time.
People just greedy.
Right. So
people just greedy. Yep.
Once you settle for less, temporary becomes permanent.
Yeah.
And that's a situation in which
so many segments of our society. That's the challenge that we have. So many segments. That's it.
Yes.
Morning papers.
So as we go through morning papers, one of the most interesting things that I found in the paper is the fact that taking it out of Kaiser News is that electricity shutdown was caused by operation of heavy equipment. That's what GPL is saying. And for folks that are not in Guyana, you will not know of the actual woes unless we tell you. And we can tell you one morning we had to come on here in the dark because there was no electricity at this end. And it's saying here that Guyana Power and Light Inc. has blamed the recent spat of blackouts on operations of heavy-duty equipment by contractors. In fact, GPL said that the operation of heavy equipment caused 60% of the electricity shutdown.
I don't believe a word.
No, it doesn't even make sense.
I don't believe a word of that.
It doesn't even make sense.
I don't believe a word of that.
How do you even come to people with this nonsense at this point?
Don't believe a word of that. It's
right,
so
we didn't have heavy duty machinery operating prior from 2015 to 2020. Those things were not operated. That's what they're trying to say.
And people can be fair. People, if people want to be fair and objective, they can.
Yes.
And we were on the decrease, vast decrease where blackouts were concerned. I mean, it was like once a month, twice a month, if anything. Now it's like that's per day.
It's blackouts every day,
right?
Every single day. People
in quarantine were complaining to us that 6 times in one day you had blackout.
That's not blackout.
Right.
It's cascaded shutdown.
That's fairy lights. You're right.
I don't understand.
Absolutely right. So we got to fix that. We got to put our heads to it. And 50 odd years, we can't still be fighting that blackout battle.
Well, that's what I'm saying, because the point that I often make is when you compare to other countries, we want to say that we are on this trajectory of development, and we want to get the standard that we can be squarely compared with a lot of developed countries on a lot of these platforms. And actually having reliable power is one of those platforms that we need. We need to secure. Come on, every aspect of development is highly reliant on energy. And availability of stable, regular energy. And I want to say that there are countries that I think Dubai, the UAE, actually have had this period. I'm not sure if it's still on now, that they had 20 something years of no blackout.
Wow.
Right. And I thought to myself when I read
Wow.
it, it's like there are persons that little babies that were born and raised and don't know what it's like to have the power off.
Yeah. That's a good thing.
That's
a good thing,
crazy
and we
concept.
deserve that too. We deserve that too.
Yes.
And I saw recently too, with that, the administration, they were taking a swipe at the Power Producers Distribution Inc. PDI, saying that is their fault. But I am saying this again: if PPDI wasn't such a good company, how come we had
How come between
power blackouts
2015 to
Yeah.
2020 they were operating with optimal efficiency?
You know what it is? It is just looking for somebody to blame. And I'm certain that Marilyn Lorma understands that, and Bill Clement, and Ian Harry, and all the other folks like Kevin Harris. You understand that? I mean, you can look and see. People know this. It's not so far back that you can take your mind to it and say, we didn't have this amount of blackouts. We just didn't.
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
We just
yes,
didn't. And how can you, for whether it's a home, you got children, you're preparing for exams and school and all of that. You got a small business or business in the whole, you're trying to manage. You cannot operate like that.
No, you can't. You can't. There's so many persons, so many perishables. Persons
Yeah.
rely on the power to actually safeguard and store. And with all those blackouts, it doesn't put you anywhere. When you have a total blackout, you're living in a country in which the ordinary business cannot afford to have a generator to power the business and to keep things like freezers and so going for hours on end. When you have these blackouts, everybody's affected, every single body.
Yeah.
And I always say, well, let me just not say everybody. The vast majority of persons are affected because there is a little group at the top that couldn't care less if the power is on or off because they are safeguarded in that way, that they have alternative sources of energy being utilized.
Yeah, they're trying the big generator, basically.
Yes.
Welcome in the morning, people.
Well, it is, believe it or not, we're celebrating Mental Health Awareness Month, right?
Yeah.
Mental.
Yeah.
I can think about
Yeah, we need to take
I can
care
think
of
about
that.
a few reasons for us to take this absolutely serious. And mental health
Yeah.
awareness is something that we have been putting on the back burner for a very long time.
Yeah.
A lot of times you go down the street and you see a lot of persons with mental health issues, and persons just put them off as the mad person, a crazy person. So we need to get to a place that that the attitude that we have towards treating mental health altogether is changed, because these are human resources are out there actually just dwindling away because of the lack of effort and emphasis on actually bringing mental health to the forefront and dealing with it strategically so that those persons can be helped medically. And it's
But I think it's not.
issue.
I think it's not only. I think it's that, and it's also people who are not destitute and on the road too. Because
Yes.
all of us got severe challenges that we face at one time in our
But
life or the other.
that is the ultimate end of a very bad situation. But it's a good point.
Yeah,
you're
I
making.
just think that
Mental health is just
some people break under the stress of it.
Yeah.
Sometimes the difference between us and the man out there, really and truly, is just the awesome grace of God. That's all. In my own personal life, I can attribute it. You got severe issues you face from time to time.
Yeah.
Family, relationship, marriage, children issues, all of that. So much can come against you. Economic, right? And when we talk about the big issue, we talk about what's happening in Linden. Severe, some pressure. Some
Yeah.
people are under, and those things you can snap if you don't have the fortitude. Some people just don't know how to grapple with it. And some people seem to deal with it in different ways, but it all comes back to how do you guard against and improve your mental health. And that's why as we go into the weekends, we always say in our programs here that people must be gentle with themselves. And I remember the first time I heard that, a woman told that to me. We having a discussion and something, and she said, I never thought about it like that, because sometimes we just take a lot of stuff too seriously. And the fact of the matter is, if we're not here tomorrow, life goes on.
very true.
Life goes on. If you
Very
leave
true.
today, you could be buried by Wednesday of next week if so long. And life goes on. Life goes on. I mean, there's a lot of crying at the funeral, hollering and stuff being done, but I ain't hear anybody jumping and say, cover me down here with this person. Life goes on. And lots of us think, we can't leave the job, we can't do this, we work so hard on the clock, it's a relationship we don't seem to be able to define ourselves outside of, or whatever it is, But I think you got to protect number one first, really and truly, because like in the airline industry, if you put on your own mask, you can't help the other person. If something should happen. So it's a real issue, and we don't take it seriously here at all. I mean, if you look at an ad, sometimes on television, you see they're recommending some medication, and they say, oh, for people who are suffering with this and this, and you say, I never heard about any of these things, It brings to mind, we could be suffering with lots of those things, we don't even know it, because, if you're head hurting, you think, I can drink a Malta, it's my pressure. You back your neck hurting, and you self-medicate, you self-diagnose and all of that. Right? So it's a real issue. And there's the extreme where people snap, and their family, perhaps themselves, don't know how to deal with it.
Exactly.
And you may end up on the road, you may end up, destitute or something like that. But there are people who are going to work every day
with real issues.
With real issues.
But I want to say at this point that it's very important that we ourselves we acknowledge the fact that we are all susceptible to pressure at some point in time, and everybody just have a different threshold of how much pressure and stress, emotional, psychological, all those stressors add on. But everybody just have this unique threshold that they have, that they can take only so much, and I think sometimes some of us are just below, that mark. At times you feel so frustrated with the situation, and this constant bagging of an issue in your head all the time. So a lot of us have been at those places. I know I have been in situations that I have been completely stressed out. You just feel like you are at this breaking point, but it so happens that you, like you rightly said, by the grace of God, you manage to push through and not reach that breaking point.
And as long as you live this life, you're gonna have those moments. You're gonna have them irrespective of who you are. You have those moments. And for me personally, in my own personal life, I think, again, it's nothing but the awesome grace of God, because knowing a higher power, higher being that I can call on when I think my own resources as a person, emotional and physical and psychological, are depleted, to say, Father, help me. Right? A lot of people don't necessarily have that. And sometimes even with that, you're still under severe stress and strain. So mental health is important. And as Rita said, it's Mental Health Month, and we're going to be touching on this subject matter as we go down the line.
Yeah, we're going to be identifying some of the issues, real issues. And I want to just mention at this point, and before we move on to the topic, that there was a bill, a mental health, a bill that was tabled in the National Assembly. That bill will be debated at the next sitting, at the second reading of it, because it was read for the first time at the last sitting of the National Assembly. So this mental health bill, which was not even in the National Assembly. He would not be there for that debate altogether.
Am I missing anything?
Well, I have been going through the bills. I'm quite interested in the things that are in the bill. But one of the things that I want to just pinpoint at this time, one of the things mentioned in the bill is that ignorance will not be an excuse that a reason that the court will accept. Oh, you were ignorant to the fact that this person had mental health issues when you were dealing with the person. So a lot to be dived into with that. But as we move forward,
morning papers, folks. Morning papers. Share the live stream, smash that emoji button, and of course, we always say 30. Partner with us. Go ahead, Judith.
Yeah, I see Raul Hamilton is here with us this morning. I just wanted
to
take a break into the comment section. I see, Amabel Clement is always there. Elizabeth Gaskin, Kevin Pierce is here this morning also, and Cheryl.
Mulrain, Cheryl, how are you doing? I didn't see you a little bit, but good to have you here. Nonetheless, we have Hamiltons in our family.
Really?
Yeah, we got Hamilton. So who knows? We got proper Hamilton.
I've been provocative.
Proper Hamilton. Brenda Bramfitt, Marilyn Thomas, Keith Dowding, Brenda Bramfitt. Wonderful folks. Wendy Rowland. Smash the emoji button for us and give that live stream a share as well. Twitter, push on.
As we are pushing on this morning, I see the UN committee questions government over Minot and Marudi Chinese landing following complaints by indigenous by the indigenous communities, and this is a serious
we
issue.
spoke about this last week.
Yes, this is
in
a
that
very
historic
serious
judgment from that
Yep.
that International Human Rights Commission.
Yes.
Even though the area is slipping me right now, it was ruled that they had their human rights violated.
Correct.
And part of the process is this administration, and we're coming to a portion of that, does not like consultation with anybody.
That is the whole core of this matter.
Right?
This is the whole core.
You are in government and you feel you have a right, you have the overarching power and responsibility to ram everything down the throats of the Guyanese people.
But
and in so many court cases, Trina, they have been found wanting with that same attitude and mentality, and they are learning nothing.
The big stick method is always
this time the court pushes back, doesn't prepare them for the next time. They keep going and going and going and going, and it's always the same thing all the time, and they gotta watch that.
But what we say when we speak on this particular matter, to try to agree with everything you say, but I think we also need to address the fact that that there are laws that's guiding this process and how it should go along. It's not just like oh, you don't want consultation, so you just consult if you want it or not. There's laws guiding this process, especially when it comes to the Amerindian Act and so forth, and the evolution of that act altogether. But I want to say that a lot of times, and we've been seeing it specifically with this administration also, a lot of times, we have these laws and you say, oh, this whole benchmark law is in place and persons are going to be protected and all of that. But that is how it is on paper. And when you actually get on the ground into these communities, you see that the persons there, because the persons there, a lot of them have not even been afraid or exposed to the various sections of these laws and so forth. So a lot of times, though, they're very right that is supposed to be protected, written in law, is actually violated because persons that know of these things decided that they're going to go and break the very law that they said that they are working to create to protect those people.
We understand, Rita. These folks know the law.
Yes, they do.
Right? They know the law. Anil is a fairly bright guy.
Yeah,
He's a fairly decent attorney. I mean,
he's a fairly aware person. Right? He's aware of what is going on. He willfully goes out and do things that is contrary to the law.
Great, and it comes back to that maxim you just mentioned it. Ignorance is no excuse.
Yep,
that's what the law says. Ignorance is no excuse. So even if you play, I didn't know, right? That's no excuse. And what the previous judgment said, is that the Amerindian Act of itself is deficient to the extent that there are other international obligations that we have signed on to that is not catered for in the Act.
Correct.
And that's a part of the recommendation from that previous judgment is that the Act be amended to include certain things. But we have to look at that. But you know what trumps everything else? Making money. And so the government could
that's what's going on here.
Farm out the Amerindian people's land, our indigenous brothers and sisters' land, to companies to make money for themselves and their cronies and cohorts at the expense of our indigenous brothers and sisters. Due to the point we were making earlier, and I think we went through some of them step by step in the previous program. Could you imagine having so much land, so much resources? When we read the content of the judgment, over 25 or 30% of the land holdings of our indigenous brothers and sisters were being farmed out for these mining. One aspect, I'm trying to remember as best as I can, the name of the area and the people, you had over in one area, over 100 concessions, right? Mind you, none of that is coming back to the betterment of our indigenous brothers and sisters. None of that money. Could you imagine being wealthy, filthy rich, right? And people are coming and squat on that wealth. Could you imagine having Elon Musk kind of wealth? Billions of dollars, and you're practically destitute.
But I want
that is wickedness.
I want to make the point, and I think that this is a time that people need to recognize the similarities in how those matters are treated. We're in Guyana, and we have the indigenous communities, and they have their lands. The persons are being given, well, illegally given rights to go and mine on their land, even without any consultation, without any financial understanding. All royalty is being paid to the state. Whatever royalty is being paid is being paid to the state, not necessarily being benefited by the persons that live in the actual communities. Very poor communities. And I want to make the point right now that those persons are actually living as though they're tenants in their own land, because those wordings that we're using, and the very terminologies, it just fits in so well. There, you're living, you're working, you're living off of the land, working the land, but then you have these massive companies coming in and just reaping every single benefit of it, and just walking through as though you're just there to you're just there as well.
As these guys, Mural King and Chin Sing and GT Boy, Roderick, Jerick, and all the other guys share the live stream for us. I will put an asterisk next to poor for the sense that what was the proverb that says, unless the lions have their own historians, the tail of the hunt will always justify the hunter. But because we measure up being, I think, well-to-do as to having a house and car and so on. But I think
it's actually the measurement of poverty actually have a financial value to it. So I get where you're coming from when it comes to certain communities.
My thing is just like, for instance, how many people age well. Indigenous people live long. The quality of life. So they could be rich in health. If they choose a simple way of life, I mean, who are we? People who live off the land. I mean, now look how the world is coming off of fossil fuels and going green and all that. And these are people who have lived green for generations, and we're now going back to that. So that's the only thing I would say. I put the asterisk next to green. But the wealth is theirs. The gold in the ground is theirs, and the other mineral wealth, manganese and all of that. And people are coming to it and raping this country, pillaging our people, right? And the people at the top benefiting. And again, our indigenous brothers and sisters don't have those resources to their advantage.
I want to put this in perspective. I get the points you're making, and I want to make this point also that it was Sharon Rupchin Edwards when she was when I was doing economics at University of Guyana.
Economics lecturer at University of Guyana.
She's an economics lecturer, and she's one of the PSs anyway. It was her that made a point that they went in. I believe that they were working with some international organization doing research, and they went into the hinterland, and they were talking to folks on the ground, and they were saying, how are you dealing with all the stresses of poverty? And the response of the woman gives the stresses. You look more stressed than me. So I get that point, but I want to be very specific when you talk about how these things affect those persons. Persons going into these communities and actually working and benefiting from the natural resources of the land, and coming out, and the people that lives there wasn't consulted with, and they weren't given the basic access to the resource themselves. Because when you talk about when people listen to me, I'm very passionate about this, man. When it comes to the whole topic of equity, I always talk about equal access to actually be able to uplift your standard of living. There's no point in saying that we're going to give an equal platform if it's not an equitable platform, because the persons there will not have certain resources if they even want to go and work the land and mine the land for the benefit of the community, because they weren't given that boost for them to be actually equitable in their pursuit of that. But I want to make the point that one of the things, some of the major challenges with when these large mining companies go into the community, is the fact that the water is now polluted, that every single person there depends on. That's one of the largest issues that you have in these communities. There's hardly a community that have these large scale mining that the water that these people rely on to do every single thing is not polluted. And that's one of that's when you talk about now, when you talk about being poor and stuff, these persons do not have the resources to have alternative sources to get these things from. And because of that, those things directly impact their health and well-being. Children children, all people, all of those folks are affected.
Yeah.
Every single person
Yeah.
because of that. And it's a very deep
and part of what has been happening is
discussion
that
to have.
instead of the minister consulting and getting the permission of the
But they
Amerindian
don't
settlements
care.
and
They
so
don't
on,
care.
the settlements got to get permission from them. And that is
Yes.
what part of that that landmark judgment recently, told us. But again, we're seeing, additional settlements, and we've spoken about places like Kanubali, Hururu, and some other places that really should have been saying for the last few months that they don't like the way they've been treated.
Yeah.
And, they've been a call for the National Two Showers Council elections, which has been much delayed as well to be ran. But we understand why.
Yeah.
They wouldn't want to hold the elections because, of course, they don't have their people in place to secure the top spots and so on. We got a lot of work to do in this country. And an overarching point I'd like to make is that while there were there are issues on any government, this particular administration, this particular iteration of the PPP regime's administration seemed to be like Donald Trump. Every day is something. It's like in every sector. There isn't any smooth governance, any smooth management. It's in every quarters. People got issues with this government.
Yeah.
In every quarter.
Yeah.
And you cannot lead well. You cannot, I think, manage well. From conflict to conflict, that's how they're managing. From conflict to conflict.
Yeah. But I just want, in closing this discussion off, I just want to say that, a lot of times what we're looking for in Guyana, what specifically the things that I value the most is that persons must always have this equitable access to make their lives better, equitable access to resources to make their lives better. And I want to say at this point in time, a lot of people like to pronounce on Indigenous rights and what should be and how Indigenous communities should operate and all of those things. I don't know a damn thing about it. A lot of persons I see in that area, and I want to say that there is nothing justifiable in nobody pronouncing on how those communities should operate, the level of development that they want to see for themselves, and it is up to them.
Which is important.
It is up to them.
That is the
what
problem.
they want.
If
they want
nobody's
the AC
asking that.
Who went to have a meeting and said, "Oh, do you want to touch roof now? Or are you thinking that's how you want the community to be redefined and for you to have air conditioning in your homes and all of that?" Who determines that? Nobody else have the right to determine that. It's those persons' responsibility. They need to have the equitable access to the resources in order to elevate their life to whatever standard they so desire for it to be at. And that is my state on that. But as we move forward, folks, on the international front, Sherrod, I'm going to let Sherrod take us through this as what is going on in the Philippines today.
Yeah. There are elections, believe it or not, in the Philippines right now.
Yes.
Elections happening, and the folks are, there seems to be a particular candidate that is what do you call it? That is leading, and he is the son of a former dictator in the Philippines, and but people are hoping that the son is not like the father. The name is slipping me, Ferdinand. It's right there. It's right there. But nonetheless, those elections are today, and the people are hoping that they make a break from the past.
Got you.
And they're really, really hoping here that this Ferdinand Marcos, thanks very much, Jurita. Ferdinand Marcos is the presidential candidate, and he looks likely to win. And all fingers are crossed.
He is junior. I think his father was Ferdinand Marcos himself, right?
Yeah. Ferdinand Marcos Jr. And people are really hoping for the best here. And one of the interesting things that has happened here, Twitter, is that the use of social media by young Ferdinand Marcos Jr. Is one of the things they were talking about that has propelled him to the to leader of the pack. Right, and he has made ample use of social media, and in particular, TikTok. TikTok. Right. So we're gonna watch to see how that goes in the Philippines. And those people have a very robust democracy now, and they're not looking to go back. Like how some people want us to go back to pre-2015 era. They're not looking to go back. They want to go forward. they think he got some good ideas, and I think they want to work with him. This is the citizenry. I think they want to work with him, and let's see where it goes. We'll keep you guys posted.
Yeah, most definitely. We will continue to monitor that specifically, Sure. But as we continue on the now on the regional front, I see Lula launches presidential bid to
Interestingly,
defend
guys,
Brazil democracy.
Interestingly,
we hinted at this last week, you know.
Yeah. Candy and Candy Linden and Desiree and Paul Passad and Margaret Nelson, all you guys. Interestingly, this is the day after what's his name was here.
Yeah, but we did speak about
Jair
it.
Bonasaro,
You know?
the day after Jair Bonasaro was here, Lula da Silva launched his presidential campaign. And if you guys have been following, you all know that when Lula da Silva served as president, he was the most had the highest ratings in the world among world leaders. His popularity level, and really, I think did some good for Brazil and left on a high note. They had to force him out. You know, he served his time and he left. They tried all kinds of things. He was imprisoned. They had him on corruption charges, was exonerated from a lot of those things, and now making his bid
again.
Yeah, making his bid the day after Jair Bolsonaro was here.
We made a point last week when the Brazil president was here, also because Lula is no ordinary contender. You know, he is no ordinary person to compete against him. And I think I know they will be doing a lot of polling. The polling has already begun, and so far.
Well, you know, some people don't like poultry.
Well, that's another
some folks don't like poll and so on.
And Guyana persons probably don't like it at all. You know, persons
don't like poll and so on. So that's a challenge there.
But I think one of the things that I don't want to just jump into our other story as yet, but I think moving off the fact that we're looking at the Brazil's president and the fact that he visited here and all of that, the media has been saying a lot. The media has been saying a lot about that.
The media has been saying a lot, and one of the challenges, you know, we had International Press Freedom Day recently, and you know, our local guys went out to say, you know, how free
great
the press
it is,
and nobody's buying that. Nobody whatsoever is buying that. And as Rita said, you know, there has been some talk. The folks didn't like how they were treated, the media, that is, journalists, that they weren't allowed to quiz Irfan and Bonasaro on what's happening. You know, some of these things that they are signing us on to these multilateral agreements, bilateral agreements rather, and I wanted to quiz them. And that is part of media too. That is part of journalism, you know. You don't just sign off things in secret.
But it's not just quizzing. It's not just quizzing. It's like the media's concern, and there you have Nazima Ragbir. And every time I look at Nazima, I say, very
Nazima Ragbir is the president of the Guyana Press Association. That's why we.
And also the head of the Caribbean Press. I know it's not the Caribbean Press Association. The correct name is not at the top of my tongue right now. But Nazima has been doing a lot of good work. But Nazima here is I believe she spoke with, if I'm not mistaken, I think she spoke to Starbuck News about what their feelings towards what went on. The fact that even when the reception was done at the Otterchong Conference Center when that happened, the fact that they were ushered into a room and asked to wait there until the president got there. And when the president got there, this is the Brazil president, I think they were not even allowed to do their own footage, a video footage of him coming in and all of that, you know. So you in which day and age do you have the media locked off in a room?
You know, we've been saying this here, and it becomes more evident, you know, as time goes by, that the current regime, they are not prepared at all for the internet age.
They're not.
They are not prepared at all for the internet age.
And you're even saying it now, but the fact that you just spoke about the fact that even in the Philippines, you know, the candidate there, Junior, he actually utilizes TikTok and those things. And persons need to understand the dynamics when it comes to social media and the influence that it have altogether. And everybody, you can't just sweep it under the carpet. That's not how it's going to be. It's going to get stronger. It's going to be more dynamic. It's going to be more diversified. And the most you can do is get on the bandwagon and see how you can integrate into what goes on right now. I think they have been failing tremendously. The
Well,
current
I'm not going to give them any
administration.
ideas. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the current
You know,
administration has been failing
do what they
tremendously.
do what they're doing to
When
the repairs works to
because
our benefit. So.
how do you lock out the media personnel from videoing, and then I believe they said only DPI and so forth was allowed to do that. Who watches DPI?
Go right ahead. If you want to lock out reporters, go right ahead.
Oh.
Go right ahead. Your term can be short. That being said, Sambrook News had some choice words for them based on that symposium that came out of the launch of their media academy, whatever it is. And this was just this morning's Sambrook News. The editorial header is Press Freedom Symposium, and among other things, folks, in this editorial out of Sambrook News, Laverne and Deborah Clark, Paul Passad and Sandra Holder, Yesurel Boville and Malin Thomas, among other things, they said here in this editorial, they said that at an elemental level, what the press in this country requires is for the government to be fully transparent and accountable. President Ali has asserted that his government has been the most accessible to the media. It isn't much to boast about with a ruling party that has been historically adverse to openness to the media. Ouch. It is unacceptable that approaching the second anniversary of his ascension to the presidency, that President Ali is yet to hold regular press conferences. And they said that, they're so open and transparent.
And zero press, zero cabinet briefings, post-cabinet briefings.
Yeah. Moving on from there, the editorial goes on to state that these should be held ideally once per month. These press conferences with the head of state. Openness and accommodation of the media cannot be defined by journalists buttonholing the president on the sidelines of official events, and certainly not by the snobbing that occurred during the visit of the Brazilian president on Friday. Second, there should be regular briefings of cabinet decisions and the opportunity for the media to ask questions about these. This should, however, be shorn of luncheonesque circumlocutions, which was a feature of the Jagdeo administration.
Wow.
It seems like they come back too. And finally, the editorial says that there is also the related matter of press conferences by the vice president, Mr. Jagdeo. These cannot be considered as a substitute for presidential briefings, as only President Ali can speak definitively on behalf of his government. And that is ideally what should be happening, but what you have is the vice president speaking definitively on behalf of the government.
And major announcement that we have learned every major announcement.
And this is what has happened, this whole what do you call it? This whole pantomime, this whole puppet regime that is happening. Let's call it for what it is. Ali is sent overseas so that Jagdeo has the space in the room, just not really showing him up, while he's here. Then you see Jagdeo holding his press conferences, and then you see all these major announcements. Irfan Ali has not made one major announcement to date in months.
Correct.
In months. Right? He's always off doing some ceremonial thing as though he's a ceremonial head of state. Right? But it's his second vice president who is wielding the power. And that's absolute nonsense in the 21st century. It's absolute nonsense. In the Twitter age, in the TikTok age, in the Facebook age, in the social media age. That is absolute nonsense.
Well, I think Sambrook News has again hit the nail on the head with that bit of reporting there. That every last word of it we have to agree with, and they have not been saying. They basically say things that people see every single day. Persons, we have been talking about the failure of the PP administration to have post-cabinet press briefing, something that that the previous administration, APNUAFC administration, was ardent with every single time. You have the post-cabinet press briefings. You see Mr. Harmon used to come out there and make sure that whatever decisions were made, the press was made aware, the people of the country was made aware, questions were asked and questions were answered at that level. And again, it's most uncomfortable. It should not be the case. How is it that you have a head of state visiting the country, you have all these personnel there at all the strong conferences, you invite the media? It's not a case in which you just lock them out the gate, because that would just be ridiculous. So they invited them, but it was equal to them locking them out the gate. because they invited them, then locked them up in a room and said, you stay there.
They don't want no analysis. They don't want any independence. They want to set what is reported on, how it's reported, and by whom.
Yeah.
Right? That is what they want. They want regurgitation and not any deep analysis, any thinking to take place. That is why they operate in the manner which they operate. And that is why President Ali cannot face the media on his own.
But that cannot be. I don't understand who is given the directives and the advice when it comes to the way in which they operate with the media altogether. Who is given the
Jack, you know everything.
Who is given the PR advice
how
on
you
that
give advice to
matter?
people who know everything?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much you try to conceal the information and block off the dissemination of that information altogether. It doesn't matter, because the fact is, the age that we're in right now, the information age as it is known, persons will get information regardless of whether or not it comes from you.
I say to go down that road. Go down that road. The tenure can be short.
Go down.
Continue, proceed. You know, as you were. Go down the road. Tenure can be short. Right?
Oh my goodness, it's just crazy.
Accidents are continuing locally, Judy. Accidents are continuing
before we go to the accidents, also I just want to make mention briefly that there was a freak storm in West Coast Berbice, and I think I believe it was 20 properties suffered damages during that freak storm at Bat Settlement up there in West Coast Berbice, and this is something that, you know, so every once in a while we actually see these things happen, these little freak storms, and so we definitely need to be looking. The experts in climate change need to be gearing up, you know, booting up as it comes to
what strikes me. I this is the May June rainy season, so I can put an asterisk next to freak storm. Is the fact that we have so little warning every time.
Yeah.
You know, you have so little warning. It's like you were never able to prepare for anything. You never got a warning and say, oh, you know, expect X, you know, batten down, anchor down, bolt down.
Yeah.
Right? You're always caught off guard here.
Yeah. It's crazy how that is.
Even in May, June, when rain is expected, the authorities still be caught off guard.
But we have to get a point. I know, like in persons that are looking from the US and in New York, for example, you just visit in there. You know, you don't even have to be with a car. Everybody that is in there within their zone in their space gets a message saying that expect heavy rain. Don't travel in this area. There are expected flood in here. You know, stay in at this point in time. So we have to get to that stage in which we prepare our citizens so that they can make their own arrangement at home to safeguard themselves from these things.
That is in the ideal world. It's going to happen. It's not going to happen under this administration. That being said, though, accidents continue. We've been chronicling this. We even had a feature on our Friday night in the Ring program where we looked at accidents of April, and you know the carnage continues. This was yesterday, somewhere in Sophia. This happened. So there is this here, and you know we continue to say to people, you got to exercise all of the 5 C's: caution and common sense, and all of it. I think we know it by heart now. It's the practice, and then we don't know what we have to do. You know, it's just doing the right thing. It's like the regime, right?
Yep.
But we know what the right thing is, and this is some of the video footage coming out of that accident yesterday there in Sophia. Is it set?
It's coming.
Perhaps.
It's
coming. It's coming. It's coming.
Don't reverse, you can't just lose control. Hold on there. Nothing there, you can't just lose control, nothing. Don't reverse, nothing. Hold on there, man. What are you going for? You're every day in there. Just hold on. We carrying just lose control. Hey, I see push out the car now. Reverse, not reverse. This country guy will say.
Why you passing it fast with nigga?
Yeah, then right to party car there. Right to party car there.
You buy there, eh?
Right to party car there.
Oh shit.
You know right there.
What over there?
It is the collapsing, right?
Who's the driver?
Driver down there.
Wait there.
Oh, you reaching up high. You reaching up to the
Wait, buddy, wait.
Hey! Are you reaching down behind?
I don't know. The car just ain't operating, nothing. I'm operating, I ain't flying on the fucking road.
Yep. So, folks, that was somewhere into fire. And again, we want to advise that, we be cautious on the roadways. And then there was, this happened at Mahaica overnight, and there was a fatality which, resulting out of this accident at Mahaica, where a car slammed into a concrete structure by a bridge, a culvert. And this resulted in a fatality. There was also one in Sue's Night, Airport Road. I think that's the name of what they call the area there.
Yeah.
Airport Road. It was just advising people to let's be more cautious, man. Let's be more cautious. Please and thank you. Some of it avoidable, but here we are. Judah, here we are. We know we've been cautioning persons every single day, every single chance we get. We've been cautioning persons to make sure that you use the roads carefully, you don't drink and drive and all of those things. A lot of times we have persons just believe that they can go home from work, stop at the shop, take 2 drinks, and then head out. And a lot of persons are also genuinely tired, being exhausted, overworked, and driving on the road, like literally falling asleep behind the wheels. So many issues, but we'll be saying you have to be more careful on the roadways. And I have to acknowledge also sometimes some things are genuine accidents that could not be avoided because of X and Y and all of that. But the majority of these accidents are because of persons' own negligence, if I dare say. Yeah. Moving on, folks, and the biggest thing this morning, we head back to Linden and what's happening there at the Amelia's Ward, what they call phase 2, the squatting area there, quote unquote squatting, because we said quote unquote squatting because some of the folks there, Trader, got papers, as them boys say, papers for the land. I have some. I made sure that I gathered some of that evidence myself, because I like folks that both Sherd and I were in Linden on Saturday, along with other members of parliament, even Sears, German Figuera. We have several councillors there from the RDC also on the ground there. And we actually did a walkthrough of the entire area, stopping at every single structure, every single home and structure that was demolished under the instruction of the administration, and heard those stories firsthand as to what is going on. And I must say at this point in time that there is no way on this planet that we can actually come to grip with the fact that Kroll is now denying that 20 squatter structures were bulldozed at Amelia's Ward. Actually denying that. I want to ask the question if he was ever on the ground. You as the minister sitting there, you heard of this devastation. Did you even decide to go and set foot on the ground to go and see what went on? No decision of that. He's yet to go on the ground. And we walked through the areas, and I want to say that the maliciousness of it's something that I had to see for my own self to actually comprehend the seriousness of what went on, because it is
absolutely impossible for them to justify the actions. You know, you have one structure, one foundation being ripped out to the ground here, and right next to it, in check, not touched.
Yeah.
You know, and one of the more serious things that I saw is the image of a young man's house, an entire house. This is not a shack or anything like that. Persons need to understand, because a lot of times when the word squatters are used, persons have this idea of these little knock-up places. Huge houses are constructed in the area. There is a committee in place. The committee was in talks with the administration. They were in the process of regularization.
Correct.
This is not a 20-house situation. There are
Yeah.
lots of houses behind. I don't want to give a number to
and in
the
lots
amount.
of these instances, you had some folks known as Powers and Fraser,
Yes.
who were acting on behalf of the administration,
Yes.
in giving out house lots,
Accepting money
for them,
from persons.
and persons who would have built on those lands, their houses were broken down.
Correct.
So, but I think part of the larger challenge is like, what is the overarching policy of the government where housing is concerned?
Where squatting is concerned too.
Well, all of that will be part of it, because if you have an overarching policy with housing, squatter settlements going to fall in. Because I only ask because when you look at some areas like Canal number 1 and 2 and so on, by the Conservancy dam there in Canal, there is a squatting settlement right on the Conservancy area there, and instead of them being bulldozed, and these were houses
regularized,
too,
electricity,
right?
water.
They got electricity and water in 2020 as soon as the administration came in. So, like, what is the policy? Is it length of occupation? What is it? Is it which party you support, where this quality settlement is, or what have you, that dictates whether you get light and water, whether you get relocated to another piece of land? What is it? And that is the thing that is nebulous. That is the thing that is nebulous, And while that was being done, you had the Minister of Housing and also the Attorney General. They were in another area, regularizing housing there. They were in another area, and I think this is
during the weekend.
Over the weekend.
Yeah.
This is Walton Hall and Paradise residents who were told they're going to be given their transport and so on titles to the land recently.
Which region was that in?
Right? This is region 5, I think.
Region 5.
Yeah, Walton. I may be wrong. It could be region 5.
I can't remember.
Right? We're going to double check that. Right? But again, you have that kind of thing happening, and people just want to know, what is it? What is the policy? What is going on? Right? What is going on?
No, it was region 2. I was right.
Oh, good,
yeah.
Good.
Because that's the best of my memory. Know that the
FYI.
Yeah.
Region 2, folks.
Yeah.
Region 2. So, like, how do we proceed from here? And it didn't matter whether these structures were cleared. It didn't matter whether there were people inside. They just went to Amelia's ward with the intention of mowing down those structures that were there, to the effect that you had a notice that was given out on the 5th that there would be a meeting on the 12th to determine the way forward. And on the 6th, bulldozers come and broke down the house, broke it down. And then you have a minister who's going to say to us publicly, he don't know, right? No, but he don't know. It didn't happen. Basically, that is very dishonest. Very dishonest. Right? And that does nothing for the situation.
That's
if you didn't
right.
know, you don't know. Well, go and see what's happening there. You think it's a freak storm? A freak storm didn't pass through there. A freak storm didn't pass. If it was a freak storm, it was the government.
Yeah. But again, it's the information age, and unless we had the images of the literal bulldozer pushing the house over, unless we had that, then they would have been able to get away with murder.
The minister,
we don't know about that.
Ministers, because I put in Rodriguez there.
Police accompany them.
They gotta put their boots on the ground. That was the freak storm. They gotta put their boots on the ground, go into Amelia's ward, the spot here, and confront those citizens and deal with the situation, pretending it didn't happen. It's not going to work.
But I want to also make the point that you can't just pretend as though these discussions were not in process. You had representatives from the ministry. Persons are saying that they're the ones that went in there and actually mark out on these areas, give it a number. AW26, I mean, and all of these things were done right
Yeah.
there, you know,
Yeah.
because of those.
They're in the process
Those
of
process of the
regularization.
regularization.
Yep, they had a committee
Yep.
that's in place, been talking with the ministry, and that's why it has struck everybody as such a blow, such a surprise, you know, and this dastardly act that you're gonna want to establish some settlement down at the back, and because people in the part of the what you perceive to be a road, right? You can just break down the houses like that in the most vicious manner. How you gonna see a way like that? How you gonna see a way like that? And then when people push back, you talk about naysayers and critics and all that, but you're doing foolishness, man.
But one of the issues there, one of the persons, a woman in particular, that had her home. You know, that's her home. I mean, you could see it however you want. That is her home.
Yeah.
That is a shelter over her head and all of that. She had that literally pushed down, everything there scattered. You know, I know one particular image that's stuck in my head is the fact that there's her bed, a teddy bear on it, zinc sheet on it, everything just flattened out.
Yeah.
On the ground, and she's
Yeah.
literally there sitting in the rain because she has nowhere else to go. This is somebody that I learned had been had basically ran from an abusive relationship, and now she is there trying to survive, basically to protect her own self and her own life. And instead of the administration working towards protecting, empowering, safeguarding her, they went and further destructed,
Abused her.
and that is the
For
correct
abuse her.
word.
That's what
That
it
is the
is.
correct word.
Right.
They went and
Yeah,
abused
yeah.
her.
And
for
again,
her.
you know, what's happening in the indigenous community mirrors this. No consultation. You send a notice, you want to consult with them, meeting on the 12th. The people are preparing themselves for that. And then you come, as MP German Figueroa says and Devin says, like a thief in the night, and you break down their homes, you know, and then you go and you say that you care. Our people from Region 10,
But the
you care,
worst
people
one,
from Linden.
the worst
Madness.
one was the worst one that was reported was the fact that this elderly woman that was in the house, that
Yeah.
when they were trying to push it down,
Yeah.
and they went in and physically dragged her out of the house and then proceeded to push
Yeah.
it down.
Yeah, you had a young man too who had papers for his house,
Yes.
being granted permission to build there,
Receipts
Right?
of payment
and at least he said
from
about
lands
three,
and survey.
about
I
$3
have
million,
copies of those.
you know, worth of structure,
Yes.
just broken down, you know. And we wonder why young people don't have no time with this country and just want to run out and leave us. You know, big people want to run and leave much more than young people. It's stuff like this, frustrating, working hard. You know, working hard.
These are not, and I want to,
And
I
come
want,
home to be
yeah,
greeted by that.
I want to make this so the persons there. What is clear there is this is not no cascas whatever. Persons went, whomever is looking after the area, whomever is the members of the committee all together, they have been in talks. Let's just put that out to get it regularized. And the very fact that persons went in there and they were saying, oh, where are we going to allocate numbers to these areas? And so, and in that process of regularization, we cannot just have this imagination in our head and these are just some people just go anyway, anyhow, and just knock up something. And I just get it out. Persons, the houses that are in
It's
the
not the typical quote unquote squatting.
It's not the typical quote unquote.
Settlement.
Yes.
It isn't.
Squatting.
It
It
isn't.
is not. You know, persons go out and work. One of the guys there, when they bulldoze his property down, he was actually at work working on a project for this current administration. When he received the news, he rushed in to see his property demolished
As a matter
altogether.
of fact, he was working on that controversial project. The Bamia,
Correct.
The Bamia school, working for those contractors there. When he heard that his own home is being, as you just said, bulldozed to the ground. All right, but we're gonna keep on top of this, folks. We're gonna keep on top of this, and as we get additional information, we're gonna have that for you. Right? We're gonna keep on top of it. That being said, guys, we're a little bit over our time. We want to thank so many of you for starting the week with us, pulling up your chair, pulling up your cup of coffee, whatever else you're having for breakfast there, cup of tea, Milo tea, coffee tea, your cup of tea, pulling that up with us and spending the last hour or so with us. It's our privilege to be here with you guys.
Yeah. Yep. And I see Commissioner Cole is making a point to dismantle the home with a woman inside is a violation of human rights. And Right, and that is correct. So I know that there's so many different organizations that I need, and just before Mother's Day, and again I say where are all these organizations that step out, at the
Them
opportune
boys
time
in care.
to speak on
Them
behalf
boys,
of
no,
women and rights
it's
and all of
opportune
those
speaking.
things,
It's
right?
opportune speaking. It's speaking opportunely.
Mm,
Right.
mm,
Speaking opportunely, but you put a jingle on a page,
mm.
right? You get the
Everybody
whole chorus.
activated. They're activated.
You get the
suddenly.
whole chorus. But
Yeah.
when real effort is needed,
Mm.
right? Effort and attention is and action is needed. Missing in action. That's what they are. Missing in action.
That
being
is
said.
correct.
Yeah.
That is correct.
But we want to thank Deborah Clark and Wilfred Sears and Chisel Chipper. Get some simple names to win a man. Oh, Brenda Braffett and Edward Gonzalez, always from the Bronx. No place else. Amabel Clement and Marlon Thomas. Thanks for joining us today, guys. Thanks for joining us. You all know you got to share. If you haven't had a chance to do that as yet, hundreds of you still watching us. We're so privileged for that. Hundreds of you watching us. Share and smash that emoji button. Guys, partner with us as well so we can continue to do more programs like this. You guys, you don't have to send any big set of money or that kind of stuff. Whatever you have, help us to move these programs forward. We'll be so grateful. Help us move forward.
Chisel Chippers is saying we're available on Zelle.
Yes,
they've been good stewards for the money.
You're very right. We've been good stewards. You all see what we've been doing. Available on Cash App, available via Zelle, PayPal as well, MMG, MoneyGram, Western Union. You want to know any more about this? 627-6963. In the diaspora, of course, might need to put in the area code 627-6963. 592-627-6963.
I see Pamela Fontanelle is in. I love the energy. We have, I always say to me, come on in the morning, we have like the most devastating news to bring on time, but we don't want to add as much as we possibly can. We try to bring it over in the lightest manner we could. There's sometimes we just can't.
Yeah.
So there's sometimes
it is what it is. It's what it is.
And we just can't. So watching from Queens, I see Cheryl George. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. It's the beginning of the week. We have a long week ahead. We know last week we had 3 days of actual working week because the other days we spent doing work otherwise than coming on air. But I want to say thank you so much for joining us, and we will be seeing you throughout the rest of the week. So make sure that you join, make sure that you share the stream.
That's our time.
Do your part, and tomorrow we're going to be bringing you a whole lot more information and some of the very aspects, things that we've been discussing. We know that we'll be bringing updates tomorrow on these issues, especially when it comes to what is going on in Linden and that matter altogether. So again, join Below the Belt at 12 and then 8 p.m. for In the Ring. Make sure that you do what you have to do before those timing come on, because at that time, you break up.
Please and thank you.
Persons can't be bothered.
Please and thank you. We done talk.
Yes, see you again tomorrow at 8 a.m. Have a good day, guys.
Stay safe. Stay safe.
Stay blessed and safe.